Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. Today I'm doing the Midyear Freak Out tag. This is the third year I've done this tag. Time flies. Actually, the anniversary of me starting my YouTube channel was in March, and I forgot to comment on it. My channel is a little over 3 years old now. This is one of the few tags that I regularly do. We're going to get right into it. I've only picked one book for each question. So, question 1, the best book that you've read this year. In terms of how engaged I felt throughout the entire narrative and how much I admired the characters as well as enjoyed the world building. Curse of the Chaliant by Lewis McMaster Bujold. This is a semi-standalone novel. You could read it on its own, but I think there are some companion continuation novels that I haven't read yet. I have a reading vlog dedicated to this one. This one took me by surprise. It had been sitting on my shelf for so long, and it has one of my new favorite characters in it. Best sequel that you read this year, that is Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It is the second book in that trilogy. I don't know what the name of the trilogy is, actually. I've spoken about it recently. I won't go on about it for too long, but I thought it was a very strong installment to the trilogy and definitely not middle book syndrome. A new release you haven't read yet but want to. The Will of the Many by James Islington. I've heard really good things about his fantasy series. I've heard it's complicated and you should read it all together back to back so that you don't forget what's going on in between. But this one is standalone. It's a twist on the magic school trope in that I think the main character is infiltrating the school to learn some secrets or kind of bring it down, which reminded me a little bit of Red Rising, which I haven't read in so long and I kind of want to reread that series now. But yes, this book, I've heard great things from the various reviewers I've seen who have talked about it. My library has it. I just need to get it. Most anticipated book for the second half of the year. That's going to be Generationship by Michael Mamet. This is his foray into space opera. And true to its name, it's about a generationship of folks that are starting to arrive at this planet that they've been traveling to for generations, I think. But as they're getting there, there's sabotage, things start to go wrong. I do have the e-arc of this one, but because it doesn't come out for a little bit longer, I've been trying to read some other ones first, but this one's highly anticipated for me. Biggest disappointment, The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart, which is the third book in the Drowned Empire trilogy. I thought book 1 was really cool, which was the Bone Shard Daughter. I thought the magic in it was really interesting, and I liked the characters. Book 2 I didn't enjoy as much, and then book 3 started with this big time hop, and by that point I just felt really disconnected from the characters and what was going on. It felt repetitive and like they were repetitively pining over the same thing, and I just wasn't enjoying it, so I DNF'd it, which was a big shame. Biggest surprise? One of the first books that I read this year, The City in the City by China Miéville. A surprise because I thought it was literary, but it's really speculative. And I normally don't read noir, which are the undertones that this book had. It's one that you should go into without knowing too much about it, but the world building it was just gripping, and how the author stated things but didn't over-explain the world. It was complicated, but you could follow along. But I still haven't read anything else by China Miéville, which I need to do. What book should I read next by them? Favorite new author, either a debut or new to me. I'm picking new to me. Oh, my cat. Okay, kitty. I know. For me, it's going to be Simone St. James. This year, I've read 2 novels by her. I really want to read more. The Broken Girls is her most popular one, and I just got that one in from the library, so I'm looking forward to that. The ones that I've read are historical, they're somewhat paranormal, with a romance in the background and the main character taking on some big challenges. They both have flavors of mystery investigation, but they're really quite different. They're kind of creepy. I normally don't do ghost stories, but this one was really good. Newest fictional crush. I don't really do that, but I've been watching through Stargate SG-1 lately, and can I just say SG-1 in its entirety? Jack, Daniel, Sam, and Teal. All of them. I like them all. Favorite fictional character, the two main characters from A New Favorite, The Blighted Stars, Nyra Sharp and Tarquin Mercator. They both are kind of in this situation that is spiraling a little bit out of their control, but they are highly competent in different areas of expertise, and they are using that competence to try to solve this problem and overcome the challenges in front of them. And I just really like that in the characters, but also there's a good sense of humor. There's kind of good banter, good interaction, and really good tension between them, and they really knit the story together. Both of those A+ characters. Very complicated. A book that made you cry, ironically, Happy Place by Emily Henry. That one was quite emotional, and as the main character is thinking through some things that have happened in her past and dealing with the current events of the story, Emily Henry just did a great job of evoking those feelings and really making me relate and have empathy and compassion for this character, and I cried. I still recommend that one. Book that made you happy, Witch King by Martha Wells. This made me happy for a couple reasons. One was I got to go to a signing by the author on the release day and chat with her a little bit, listen to her answer some questions about everything related to writing. That was really, really great. Got a signed copy. And then for the book itself, it's a little bit layered and complicated, but I loved how the various magic systems were portrayed, but how it was very matter of fact. In the narrative, it would just say kind of what the character was doing, and you would get a sense of what that was, but it wasn't overwritten or over-explained, just like I undid the cantrip. It's like, okay, so you kind of dismantled that magical thing. I don't know how you did it, and I don't really need to know. Again, interesting characters, premise, world building. Most beautiful books you've received or bought this year. I splurged a little bit earlier this year. An author that is becoming an auto-buy author for me is Margaret Rogerson, and she writes YA, but when her most recent novel, Vespertine, came out, I bought this special edition copy because An Enchantment of Ravens is one of my very, very, very favorites, and I knew I wanted a really nice copy of that and Sorcery of Thorns one day. So they came out with editions that match of An Enchantment of Ravens and A Sorcery of Thorns. They just look very nice sitting all together, and they do each have illustrations inside and quotations from the story. Last, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? The books on my Our Fantasy bingo card. Okay, that was almost a disaster. These are just a handful of the ones I intend to read. Big one that if I don't read in the next couple months, my friend's gonna yell at me is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. That's the end of this tag. Some of my favorite and most disappointing books of the year and what I'm looking forward to for the remainder of the year. Put your answers down in the comments below, or let me know what's your favorite, what was your most disappointing, what's a new release you still want to read, what's one you're really looking forward to so I can make sure I get it on my list. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to support your local library. Thanks.